Hello. Welcome back to my channel. I am Monae and you are watching Life is Monae. Today is going to be another episode in the Finding New Favorite series that I have on my channel. And we're going to start finally with the romance genre. I have been putting this one off because I just feel like it's going to be the one that takes me the longest to find books that I like. Because I'm not really like a romance reader and I'm not really into cheesy things. And yeah, I'm not really looking forward to it, but thus it is time. I have found and loved a couple of thrillers and I want to move into like more mystery. But first, we must tackle things in order, and next up is going to be romance. Okay, so like I live on a military installation and we have libraries on the base. And when I went, there was pretty much little to no romances in stock, and I've gone 3 times in the space of a month, and I don't know if I just keep missing the wave. The girls are checking it out. I just can't seem to get my hands on anything that sounds good. And don't even get me started on like the popular type books, because that's pretty much non-existent. And so because the libraries on base are relatively small, I want to see if I can go to a library, like county library outside of the base. But I don't have a state ID for the state of Washington, because thus I am not a Washington resident. I only live here because the US government told me to. I called when I first moved here and I was like, hey, can I check out books? And they were like, not unless you have a Washington ID. And thus they hurt my feelings. But that was for a different county than the county that I plan to go to today. Like I didn't know what county I lived in when I actually first got here. So the library that I called is actually not the library for like my zip code. So I want to try the one that's closest to my zip code, and hopefully they let me out of there with some books. But if they don't, or if they don't have a wide selection of romances, because so far I've only been seeing like historical romances, and historical romances sound like a melatonin to me. And I just know, I don't know what my taste in romance is, but I know it is not that. I know it's not that. So if I go to the library and 1, I either can't check out books, or 2, they don't have a lot of books to choose from, I'm going to try half price books. And then if half price books doesn't have a lot to choose from, we're gonna have to go to Old Faithful, which is going to be Barnes and Nobles. But I'm trying with like the free option and then the most least expensive option, and thus I need to get romance books today. So if I have to, I'm gonna go to Barnes and Nobles. I am already ready to go, but I have not had coffee. And we need coffee to embark on this journey. So I'm gonna make me a cup of coffee and then we're gonna head to the library. So I knew not to get my hopes up when I decided to go to the library for romance books, because I know that while I don't read a lot of romance, pretty much none at all, romance is still a very, very popular genre. And right now, especially with like TikTok and Book Talk, they are moving off the shelves like hotcakes. And so I looked online and I tried to find the biggest library closest to me without having to drive all the way up to Seattle. And yeah, so I came to the biggest one near my house, and they had literally no Colleen Hoover in stock. And that was like sign number one that I was not going to have a very successful library trip, because I did not have any books in mind that like I absolutely wanted to read. There were some authors that like I was on the lookout for. I have no taste in romances, and so I had no like list. I just wanted to look at the romance options and like read the synopsis and just go from there. But one author, I believe her name is Mariana Zapata, was recommended to me, and I looked for her, and there was only one book by her. And then there was one Jasmine Guillory, and I have no intentions on reading Jasmine Guillory. But the fact that they only had one of her books, and it was the third one in a series, I think they had like The Wedding Party, which I'm not sure, but I believe The Wedding Party is like book number 3. They only had that, and I said, okay, this is going down, and it's going down fast. So I wanted to try to find more adult type romances, because I don't see me really truly relating to like a YA romance, especially if the problems in the books are very trivial. However, I still did grab some YA books. I was just like, let me get as many adult romance books as I can. And yeah, that was not as successful. So good thing I plan to go to Half Price Books, and hopefully they have more of a selection. But I do want at least 2 Colleen Hoover books. And I like the synopsis of the book from Mariana Zapata, and she seems like an author that I'm going to be interested in. And so I'm hoping that I can find more of her books at Half Price Books. As a last resort, I'm going to have to go to Barnes & Nobles to get at least one Colleen Hoover and possibly another book by Mariana Zapata. But let's hope that we don't have to do that. Let's hope. So far what I got was, these are the ones that are like irrelevant to romance. I got the Cast nonfiction book because it's one that I've wanted to read for a while, and Jess is doing this book for, I believe, their September or their October community reads book club, and so I wanted to start it. But now that I have it in my hand, I'm like, dang, I kind of want to annotate it. Like, is this a book that I'm going to want to annotate? I like to have my nonfiction books myself. However, I'm gonna start it, check it out. If I finish it and like I absolutely love what I read, I'll probably grab a physical copy. But got this is another book that I've wanted to read for a while. I just could not bring myself to really purchase it, and I'm so glad that my library had it, and that is going to be Anxious People. I know that this book follows armed robbery, or like some people are being held hostage by a robber, and we are following different POVs as they process their hostage situation. And I'm not sure, but I think we may also follow the robber, but don't quote me on that because I haven't read the synopsis. I'm just going off of that little bit of knowledge that I got from someone's channel when they were reviewing it, but I want to check it out. So the next book that I got, I am on hold for with Libby for the audiobook, and the audiobook is like literally going to take 12 weeks before I can get my hands on it. But my library actually had this in stock. They had this, The Final Revival by Opal and Nev, and they had Malibu Rising. That's how I know. Like, they have good selections. They have good choices. It's just romance are really moving off the shelves. Like, romance authors must be getting checks left and right. So I was able to snap both of these, and I'm excited. I do already own The Seven Husbands and Daisy Jones, but I don't own this one. So I'm glad that I'll be able to like read them in conjunction with each other without having to spend, I think this book is like $27. Let me check. Yeah, $28. Down to the 3 romance books that I managed to snap. This one is the book by Mariana Zapata, and it is called From Lukov with Love. Lukov? with the love. This follows a girl who is apparently an ice skater, and she has been an ice skater for 17 years, and she's coming close to like completing her figure skating career. It's almost time for her to, I guess, retire, and she's gonna get the opportunity or the offer of a lifetime, and she's gonna have to take it from some arrogant guy that she has spent at least a decade of hating. I don't know how I feel about enemies to lover romance. However, the synopsis says that like they have at least a decade of hatred. So I'm hoping that even though we're jumping into the story as it's already going on, that it comes across the page as like true nemesis enemies. Like I really don't like him, and I hope that I can feel the 10 years worth of spite. It will probably feel like a better payoff when we get to the love aspect, but it sounds good to me. Because this is the only book by her in a library where romance is clearly very popular, I'm gonna say that this is probably not her best book. So I want to check out Goodreads really quickly and see what's her highest rated book, and get that one too. I also got The Intimacy Experiment. This seems to follow a guy and a girl who are the girl is trying to do a startup for like a sex positive app or like platform where she can educate people on how to have a very sex positive life. And then it says that we follow a guy named Ethan, who is one of LA's hottest bachelors, and he's also a rabbi of his own synagogue, and the synagogue is low on funds and low on members. His superiors would like for him to attract more millennials and more like of a younger generation to join the synagogue, and so he has to modernize his congregation and like his, I guess, preachings to a more non-traditional background to attract more of a younger generation. And so now him and her must work together to kind of put forth this very sex positive and like healthy platform for the younger generation so that he can save his synagogue and she can pivot her career. And it sounds like they're gonna fall in love and have this very strong attraction to one another. Okay, and this is a YA romance that I grabbed, and this is called Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry. In this book we follow a character named Quinn, and Quinn writes down like her biggest fears or the things that make her most nervous in this journal. And then her journal goes missing, and someone in her school is basically blackmailing her and telling her that she must face at least 3 of her biggest fears on this list to prevent the entire journal from being released. And she has to work with, I'm guessing, this guy, whatever his name is, Carter Bennett, and he's the last person that was known to have her journal, and they must race against time to track down the blackmailer. But along the way, Quinn's gonna find the courage to be honest, live in the moment, and fall in love, which I guess will be with Carter. I don't know. These are all very different books, but again, I have no romance taste because I don't read romance, and so I'm on like a don't knock it until you try it kind of thing, because I can't be bougie and I can't like drag a book when I don't have like a better suggestion. Like I can't be like, oh, that's the worst enemies to lovers book ever, you need to read this, because I don't have any recommendations at all. So although I only made it out with 3 books, at least it's 3 different books, and one is at least YA. So we're gonna drive to Half Price Books, and hopefully their romance selection is not picked over. It must be like a quarantine thing, because people are in their house and they're fantasizing about a romance and they're living their life vicariously through these books. And I just hope that they left one for me. I want to live through a book. I want to know what you guys are feeling. I want to fantasize about an epic love, I think. totally looking for paranormal romance, and I own this book already, and it's been sitting on my shelf forever. And now that I have made the connection for it to be paranormal romance, I'll probably just start that series probably tonight, because that book is so short, and hopefully I like it more than I liked this, because I hated this. Okay guys, so we are done inside of Barnes & Noble's. This was my first time really spending money all day, so I'm gonna call that a success. I feel like we got a variety of books. Inside of Barnes & Noble's, I grabbed It Ends With Us. I also grabbed Verity. I grabbed Guild, which is another paranormal romance. And now that I know that the Karen Moaning book that I own, I think it's called Dream Fever or Dark Fever, is a paranormal romance, I'm gonna go home and start that tonight. So I'm actually very excited about that. I also grabbed You Deserve Each Other and The Unhoneymooners. So thank you guys for joining me on this shopping trip. I will see you guys when it's time to review all of the goodies that we got in this video. If you made it this far in the video, leave a blue heart, and also tell me which one of these books that I took home today you think I'm gonna like the most, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.